Hey, John here. So in this lesson I'm going to show you a really simple addition that you can make to a minor pentatonic scale to make it slightly more melodic. Now the minor pentatonic is a great scale as is, but adding this note will help you add a bit more melodic interest in certain phrases. And the great thing about this approach is that you don't have to add it, but if you know that it's there and you know what it sounds like, you can add it when you see fit. So it's still up to you. There's nothing like, oh, you have to play it because now it's a new scale. You can see it as a new scale, but it's really, in my mind, a better approach to see it as an optional note that you can add to your pentatonic phrasing. To make this make sense, we're going to start in A minor pentatonic, and we're just going to do this day one position to begin with. And the first step is to understand the intervals of this scale, so you can see where this note fits in. Now, to help you hear these intervals easier, I'm going to add a drone in the background. So we have an A ringing here. So we have the A, which is a root note, very stable note. Flat 3, also stable note, but with a bit more color. 4, which is not as stable. And then we have 5, and then we have the flat 7. So when I say stable, it's just notes that feel like you can stay on them for a longer time. So if I would land on the 4, I kind of want it to move, right? And if you go to the flat 7, really wants to move up to the root. And of course, you don't have to follow that particular tendency, but that's in a vacuum where it kind of wants to move. All right, so with that said, the note we're going to add here is the second note. So right here in between the root note and the flat 3. So this is important, so you can see this wherever you're at in the other positions as well, but we'll get to those later. So you have this root note here, and then you have the flat 3, and right a half step below, we have the second note of the scale. So, right, so 1, 2, flat 3, then 4, 5, flat 7, 1. I'm gonna stop singing along now because it's annoying. With the root note. Then we have this second here, or we can add it here. And it's important to see both places, because depending on where you're going and where you're coming from, it might be more handy to go there, or if you're coming from here, right? So you want to see this this additional note as, like I said, an option, so you can add it wherever you find that it fits, right? So it's very helpful to not be stuck with like, oh, it always has to be here in this position, because it doesn't. Most of the time I play it here, but you know, sometimes I come from here and then, you know, that's just the way that it goes. So from the beginning again, 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 7, 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 7, 1, 2, flat 3. So that's the entire position, this first shape 1 as it's commonly referred to. If I play this now from the lowest note up to the top and then back again, you can probably hear that it sounds a bit more melodic than if I just do the normal minor pentatonic scale. You know, we're all used to that, but just by adding this note, you get some more melodic interest, at least to my ears. So. Right? And obviously you don't need to add this in every octave when you actually use it, like I've said numerous times, but I think that's a very important point, so you don't feel that you have to play the note just because it's there. So a great way to get acquainted with this once you played it a few times is just to try improvising very slowly and just listening and see what it sounds like when you add that note in certain spots, right? So it doesn't have to be any more complicated than that initially. And then you can start experimenting and see like, okay, what if I add this to, you know, more runs like that. And that's something you would hear Eric Johnson do a lot, where you would just go up the scale, but then use this note as a turnaround before going down the scale again. And it, just that little thing adds a slightly more melodic interest to my ears anyway. So, but as you can see here, I didn't do it on the way back. But if you do that, it sounds even more melodic. So, you know, you have to be the judge of that, what you like. But just knowing that this note exists and not going from like, oh, I'm either gonna play, you know, a 3-note per string scale or it's gonna be all pentatonic. This is kind of a more controlled way in between them. So you can add the notes that you find gets you the results that you want. And obviously there's more notes you can add in this way of thinking as well, which I will cover later on if you guys like this kind of video. But for now, one of my favorites is actually adding the second note to the minor pentatonic. Now the technical name for this is a hexatonic scale. So we have a pentatonic scale, which is 5, and hexa is 6. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But you know, that just so you know what that means in case you see it somewhere. Now you know what that is, and if you learn this, you can play at least one hexatonic scale. And you probably know one before that as well, which would be the blues scale, where you have the flat 5. It's also a hexatonic scale, but with a very different flavor, obviously. Now the next logical step, and the one that I would suggest, is to find this note and add it to the remaining 4 pentatonic positions. You can find, you know, all these pentatonic positions just by Googling A minor pentatonic, and you'll find them. I do, however, think you're much better off just starting with the pentatonic shapes and then seeing where this note exists on each individual string. And what I mean by that is, like, if we start here in the next position, so we have the flat 3. If you know that you have the second note right before it on the fret below. So that's the start. And then we have the root note here. So now we're gonna get the same shape we had here. Then 4, 5, flat 7, 1, and then we have 2, flat 3. And I don't want to confuse you here, but I think it's better for you to find this added second by relating it to the notes you already know in the pentatonic shapes. And if you're not sure where the root note is or where the flat 3 is in each of these shapes, you should learn that, if for no other reason than to be able to improvise better and find your way better along the neck overall. So doing this bit of extra work will help you learn this and retain the information much better than just staring at a bunch of scale shapes on paper. I know that might feel like the most comfortable way to doing it first, but I would much rather have you take it one position at a time and then play around with that until you feel comfortable where the note is. And then move on to the next one and build it up that way. But I'm just going to show it here quickly so you have some sort of reference. So the first one we already did. So the second one then, we already did that one as well, but I'm just going to show it again quickly. So we start here on the second, flat 3, 4, and then we have 5, flat 7, then we got the 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 7, 1, 2, flat 3, 4. Right, and then the next position, we got this. So we got 4, 5, flat 7, 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 7, 1, 2, flat 3. So this one you can see in all 3 positions here, right? So this is fairly easy to get a hold of. So And all these positions, excuse my noodling here, but all these positions will help you find different phrases because it's sort of it's easier to get to in certain positions than others. So that's why it's so important to be comfortable with all these positions, because you can find different ideas easier. All right, so next position then would start here on the 5th of the scale. So we got 5, flat 7, 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 7, 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 7. And then the last position, starting on the flat 7, and you obviously have that down here as well. So we got flat 7, 1, and then we got 2, flat 3. And again, if you look at this position, so there's a lot of different patterns that come up again and again. So we got 4, 5, flat 7, and then we have this one, this old friend. So 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 7, 1. And then we're back where we started. Be kind to yourself, take it one position at a time, and be really comfortable. But it's nothing wrong with spending, maybe you spend 5-10 minutes in this position. And then even though you still have work to do here and you feel that you can improve on it, because we all can, I can still improve in this position as well. It's a good idea to move on to the next one and then spend some time there, go on to the next one. So you don't have to spend hours and hours and days on one position. I think you will learn this faster overall if you spend a good chunk of time in one position, so you feel like, yeah, I kind of got the idea where the note is now. And all that stuff, and then move on. And you have to make that judgment yourself. But when you get back to it the next day, you're gonna find like, oh, I'm a bit more comfortable from the get-go in this position now. And yeah, this one as well. Oh, this one is a bit tricky, or whatever it might be. And then just, let it build up like that day by day. So don't stress yourself out at all. Just, take it easy. What you can do after that, or actually do as you do all these positions, is to simply do it on one string at a time. So you would go, and a good idea here is to think of it in 3 notes at a time. So you got 1, 2, flat 3, 2, flat 3, 4, 3, 4, flat 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, flat 7, 5, flat 7, 1, and then flat 7, 1, 2, and so on. Can be a great picking exercise as well, or legato exercise, whatever you want, but basically doing this, you just go. So you get used to these distances. Oh, sorry. On a single string, and then do that on all strings. You get the idea. And that in conjunction with doing these different positions will help you learn it way quicker, I think. And there's other approaches you can use as well, but I don't want to overload you with information here. So to recap, make sure that you check the lesson from the beginning again if you feel a bit lost, because the important thing here is to understand the intervals of the minor pentatonic, because if you know where the 1 is and the flat 3, you will always have the second a half step below the flat 3 and a whole step above the 1. And if you can keep track of that, you'll have much less of an issue actually seeing this note when you try to use it in improvisation. And again, if you really want to learn the fretboard, you want to see scales in this fashion anyway. So know where the root note is and see the intervals in relationship to that root note. And everything will make so much more sense when you start looking at the fretboard in that way. So if you have any questions, let me know in the comments. Otherwise, good luck with this one and see you in the next one. in the day, I used to have real issues with fast alternate picking when it came to 2 notes per string. I was fine with 3 notes per string, but the 2 notes per string thing was a bit harder to crack. So if you struggle with fast alternate picking as well, and you don't know what to practice or for how long, I've created the perfect solution for you in the form of the Pentatonic Picking Power Book. So in this book, you'll find a daily workout that will not only help your pentatonic picking, but will also upgrade your overall alternate picking technique. So it contains basically the same exercises I use myself to develop my picking abilities, as well as numerous students over the years that I've given the same exercise to with great results. So I know these exercises work as long as you put in the work. So it's not a quick solution or quick fix. It will still take a lot of work, but at least you have a very easy to follow routine. So if you're up for a big alternate picking upgrade in 2024, I cannot think of a better start.